Welcome back to Fudge Muppet. My name is Scott, and today I'm very excited to be presenting you the second of our role-playing build series, The Pirate, the most feared individual in the settled systems, a corsair of calculating carnage, a scourge of the starry seas in their prized ship, the Stronghold. The pirate appears from the abyss and unleashes a hail of Gauss cannon fire and particle beams, shredding their prey to slivers. Then, with well-placed electromagnetic pulses, the cargo ship is disabled, its crew await with sweat-slicked shakes. Docking is complete. Here they come, the pirates, with a barrage of gunfire, its terrible sounds reverberating throughout the ship's halls. Is this hell? No. This is the Pirate build, the ultimate dedicated role-playing build for the definitive pirate experience in Starfield. You will be tearing your way through the settled systems, breaking and tearing, pillaging and plundering. You will be the Scourge of the starry seas. These are dedicated role-playing builds, full of statistical greatness, but complete with backstories and character personalities. But if this isn't something that interests you, then you can just use the timestamps to navigate to the more statistical parts of the build. Also, I'm keeping this spoiler-free like all our builds will be. No main story talk or faction quest outcomes spoken about. We want you to experience these for yourself, but we may mention how to join these factions when necessary. The role-playing section will give you a more in-depth insight of the character personality, and so you would be able to infer the choices you would make from there. But with that said, let's dive into the character creation. Conceptually, I wanted to create a character that draws from everything swashbuckling, and there are two main inspirations. For starters, the idea of space pirates has never not excited me ever since I saw Treasure Planet as a kid, and you can see in the ship design I tried to emulate some of the Solar Sail vibes and a construction that seems like it has masts and rigging, but of course I didn't want it to look one-to-one like an 18th century sailing ship. It needed to fit the universe. I'll talk more about this in the ship section, and there is a pirate ship build guide linked below. It dropped yesterday. However, it is fair to say that a pirate ship is a core part of their character. The other big inspiration is of course the golden age of piracy, but even more specifically, I adore the Black Sail series, which is about just that. Now, my particular pirate character here is named Anne Bonny, after the famous female pirate of Irish origin. I went for freckles and red hair and tried to make her look rough. A pirate shouldn't look like they're about to be on the red carpet, in my opinion. You don't have to make your pirate female, of course, but I did have some specific role-playing in mind with the companions, two characters that can stand in somewhat for other famous pirates associated with Anne Bonny, both Jack Rackham and Mary Read, but we'll get to that later. I think giving a good old Treasure Planet Nathaniel Flint as a name, or perhaps Charles Vane or John Silver, Edward Thatch or Edward Teach if you prefer. I think Thatch just sounds cooler personally, but either way, I think I'd have the most fun picking a name of a famous pirate. There are plenty of options out there, but let's dive into the background. There is no particular background to choose for a pirate, and hence I went with one that A, gives us a good head start on our skills, and B, represents who the character was before. Even though this character is in the dark deep end of the morality pool, I didn't want to go with options like gangster because it feels more like a thing for localized criminals, like being part of a gang in Neon or something, and the dialogue reflects that. I didn't pick Space Scoundrel either because this character isn't a Jack Sparrow Han Solo type vibe. She's pretty gnarly and she is not a grey character. She is firmly in the black, the only white being the skull and crossbones on her flag, if she had one. There are a few that could fit well, like long hauler or soldier, analogous to a background as a sailor or member of the Navy, but I chose the bounty hunter for a few reasons. Firstly, all of the skills are things we'll be using, and this background gives us an amazing head start on our tech skills, including boost pack training, piloting, and targeting control systems. Secondly, there are some good opportunities in the Crimson Fleet questline to use the bounty hunter dialogue, and it's pretty savage. Remember, bounty hunters do capture or kill people for money. Having an occupation like this makes for an easier slip into piracy, I think, by both being a more established pilot familiar with killing for creds, and the backstory includes a sort of can't beat 'em, join 'em type thing, but I'll save that for the backstory section. As for traits, I chose 3: Freestar Collective Settler, Wanted, and Spaced. All of these are role-playing picks, but they also confer some statistical benefits. I felt as if the Freestar origin was best for the pirate. It's an origin on the frontier. The Freestar space is closer to the more uninhabited part of the galaxy, and also Crix, which is home of the pirates. An origin in Freestar space can also emulate the New World feel of Eastern America and the Caribbean during the golden age of piracy. Wanted puts a bounty on your head, which bounty hunters will come to try and collect, which is very cool as a pirate character, and it offers more dialogue fitting for the pirate in addition to the statistical bonuses of doing more damage when you have low health. This can be handy, but it's definitely a role-playing decision primarily. The same goes for Spaced. Spaced increases your health and oxygen in space, but decreases them when on a planet. I picked this because it feels like the equivalent of sea legs, the vibe of feeling unnatural or not at peace unless you're out at sea, but for space instead. The buffs and debuffs aren't terribly drastic, I feel, but if you really did want to forego this trait, you could, as I've also found that you're typically on planets far more than on space stations or boarded ships, and so terra firma statistically probably pays off more, I think. But to be fair, as a pirate, you will likely be boarding ships and in space way more than most other playthroughs, so I recommend grabbing Spaced for the role-playing vibes. The backstory and role-playing sections of the video will expand way more about the character in terms of personality and motivations, but now let's get into the gameplay elements of the character. Time for the nitty-gritty. Let's talk skills and how to prioritize them. Due to the nature of Starfield's leveling system, it is hard to give an exact order of leveling skills because each requires certain challenges to be completed first. So for instance, I might get pistol certification rank 3 at level 8, but you may not have completed the required challenge by then, so we don't want to be sitting on skill points unallocated. So I thought it would be best to break down all the skills the character needs in the long run, and I will provide some benchmark examples of the build at levels 15, 30, and 50, roughly encapsulating an early, mid-game, and late-game feel in the leveling section of this video, letting you know what to prioritize. By far the most important and heavily invested skill group for the pirates is the tech skills. Starting with the basics, we have rank 4 of the ballistic weapons systems. By rank 4, we will have our ballistic weapons damage on our ships increased by 30%. The recharge rate of these weapons will also be 30% faster. They will cost 20% less to use in targeting mode, and they will do 50% more damage to individual systems, which just helps us shred through enemy ships, especially helpful for those ships with big hulls, focusing on their weapon systems and targeting so they can't fire back. Second skill from tier 1 is boost pack training, which we'll get all 4 ranks of, allowing us to use boost packs, reduce their fuel cost, and improve their regen massively. It's such a big plus for maneuverability, and visually, a pirate boost packing from their ship, running through a civilian outpost, jetting on top of roofs for vantage points, eliminating enemies before looting them, and then vanishing into the stars is such a cool vibe. Next is the piloting skill. All 4 ranks are essential for this build, improving both our functionality with ships and allowing us to pilot Class B and ultimately Class C ships, which is going to be necessary to fly this beast of a thing that I have created for this build. We also grab the security skill, allowing us to crack advanced, expert, and master locks respectively. I don't think the 4th rank is really necessary. As a pirate, we want to be able to get as much loot as possible, and we don't want to miss out on containers full of contraband just because they are behind a lock we can't crack, so it makes sense to invest here. The final skill on tier 1 of tech is targeting control systems, which we start with because of our background. Each rank progressively reduces the time to lock on an enemy, a total of 60% less at rank 4, which is such a big bonus for effective damage output. Also, target locked ships fire at you 25% slower, have a 10% chance of being critically hit by you, and also take 20% more system damage from you. This combined with the ballistic weapons system bonuses will just tear through enemy ships the second their shields are down, giving them no chance to recuperate. In tier 3, we grab engine systems rank 4, in total increasing our ship's top speed by 20%, increasing our ship boost duration and reducing the cooldown, and boosting causes enemies to disengage the player. It's a big boost to maneuverability and speed, plus it allows us to get away with a much bigger ship running at a more suitable speed. Another pick from this tier is payloads. This increases at rank 4 our ship cargo holders to 50% more capacity. As a pirate, we will be taking lots of loot, plundering ships for their cargo and taking contraband to smuggle, so having the space is essential, but the downside of adding heaps of cargo modules to your ship is that it does hamper your weight a lot. So with 4 ranks of this, we can squeeze way more, 50% more space out of the same amount of cargo modules. It also helps us make a tighter designed ship instead of a fat cargo hauler. The next skill we get in this tier is shield systems, which progressively increases our shield capacity by 20, 40, and 60% at respective ranks of 1, 2, and 3, finishing this off with rank 4, which makes our shields occasionally resist 100% of all the damage received. Overall, this makes us way sturdier in space combat, which we'll be doing a lot of, and also because we're flying this big pirate ship rather than a small smaller, agile ship, though this is still faster and more agile than some of the other smaller ships I've seen, we will be exposed to more damage, so this is important. But let's talk tier 3 skills. First is particle beam weapon systems, increasing by rank 3 particle beam weapon damage for ships by 30% and reducing the targeting mode cost by 30%, and the 4th rank increases the crit chance with these weapons. We use particle beams with Gauss cannons for our ship, and so we want to optimize the damage here. I'll speak more on this in the ship section of the video. The final of the tech skills we need is starship design. At each successive rank, this unlocks new parts that we can use for our ship, and some of the best ship parts in the game are made available because of this, and we definitely want to optimize our ship building. So as you can see, most of the pirate skill allocation is centered in the tech tree, revolving around ship optimization. However, as a pirate, we will be getting into combat on foot, whether raiding a settlement or boarding a ship, and we want to be optimized for this. In tier 1, we will be investing into all 4 ranks of ballistics, offering us 10, 20, then 30% more damage with ballistic weapons at rank 3, and then rank 4 offers 30% more weapon range with these weapons. This gives us versatility at the beginning, allowing us to use shotguns, pistols, rifles, and whatever ballistic weapon we want to in the early game, but as we get further, we will be going into tier 2 and taking all 4 ranks of rifle certification. This by rank 3 increases our rifle damage by 30%, and rank 4 increases our reload speed with rifles by 30% when standing still. And then in the tier 3 skills, we grab one single rank of rapid reloading, which increases our ballistic weapon reload speed by 30%. These skills have been optimized for the use of the Magshear weapon, and more specifically its unique variant, Revenant, which can be acquired in the Crimson Fleet questline. It is a ballistic rifle which will benefit from both ballistic and rifle skills, and it does have a relatively slow reload, so cutting this by 60% in total when standing still helps us immensely. We can quickly take cover, reload, and unleash another hail of bullets. We also get a few of the social skills for some additional support and a little flavor pick. We take 2 ranks of commerce, allowing us to buy for 10% less and sell for 15% more, as well as 2 ranks of scavenging, which gives us an increased chance to find extra ammo and extra credits in containers. We do churn through a lot of ammo with this character and will need to buy more, so this is effective for our character, but the main reason for these skills is so that we can get the intimidation skill, just a single rank, so that we can unlock the dialogue options. This allows us to force a target NPC at or below our level to flee, which is very fitting for a pirate, but more so the ability to use this in dialogue is the main role-playing appeal. You want to be a feared pirate. I designed this build's skill set around the core playstyle of piracy, space battles, looting, and raiding, hence the heavy investment into tech skills for the ship and supplementary combat and social skill investment. However, I did want to throw out some additional caveats and alternatives. Some of you may not like particle weapons or ballistic weapons and might want to say swap those skills out for energy weapon systems and missile weapon skills, for example. This is super easy to do for this character because they will all be easily accessible as we invest a lot in the tech group regardless, so we won't be locked out because of total skill investment requirements. Even the auto turret skill could be a cool pick, giving the vibe of a ship crew firing the cannons rather than yourself. Ultimately, I went with particle beams and ballistics, but that might just be my preference, though you can clearly see it's a very effective combo. So you may be wondering about the deception skill in the social group. Its various ranks essentially make it easier to convince ships to surrender to piracy demands, and it makes contraband scans less effective against you. And perhaps this is a better skill choice for a smuggler type character for the early game, or perhaps a more Jack Sparrow scoundrel type social focused pirate. But we are a brutal, terrifying, scary pirate, and so functionally I find that the best way to play this character is to just jump out of nowhere from your grab drive, attack the target, destroy or board and take its cargo, and then vanish. Very inspired by the opening scene of Treasure Planet in vibes. We want to be that mysterious, terrifying force that comes, destroys, and vanishes as quick as it came. Negotiating surrender is not the vibe. And in regards to the scanning for contraband, you will find that A, there are places such as the Key, the Den, and the Red Mile to sell to without being scanned, and B, we'll also be upgrading our ship with the multi-frequency scanner, which covers this aspect, giving us something in the range of 86% chance to pass the scans anyway. We just don't need to spend the points on deception for this, and again, it's just not the vibe of the pirating that we do. Also, another caveat, if you so decided, you could forego the social skills entirely. No intimidation, no commerce, no scavenging, and instead take those points and specialize further into tech or combat skills, perhaps even just simply have this final build complete at level 45-ish instead of 51. But I do like them for the flavor, and like I explained, the benefits of finding more ammo and creds are useful, especially for this character using a weapon with a high ammo burn through rate like the Magshear. As some final advice for further skill investment beyond level 50, Boost Pack Assault Training is a really great skill that shines at ranks 3 and 4, allowing us to hover in slow-mo with our boost pack. Really cool for the vibes, but it's not the priority before then. Also, I'm aware that this final build isn't actually level 50, but rather 51. I just threw in the cheeky extra because I feel like it completes the build. But with all that said, let's talk leveling with the skill set that I have prescribed already. Right out the gate at level 1, we will have, due to our bounty hunter background, the skills piloting, boost pack training, and targeting control systems, which is a super helpful boost because with only one single point investment into the tech tree, we will have access to tier 2. But in terms of priority, I think that at level 2, our first point should go into ballistics rank 1, just so we can have that challenge for killing enemies with ballistics working in the background. I would also recommend getting security rank 1, as this takes a while to level as well, and we want to maximize our loot taking opportunities through our playthrough. From here, you want to try and get all the rank 1 versions of the tech skills we use at minimum. One of the challenges with this build is that we actually constantly have new skills to get, so we are spoiled for choice. But I tried to remember to keep the focus on the core of the character, which is pirating in your ship. So between levels 1 and 15, I highly recommend that you establish the base of your character's skill set, but unfortunately I had to make a judgment call and cut the social skills until later. They just don't rank highly in terms of priority. We won't even be using the Magshear at this point anyway. Ultimately, they are just flavor and additional support. So as for a level 15 benchmark recommendation for the pirate, I would say that it should look like this in terms of skills. Ballistics rank 2, ballistic weapon systems rank 1, boost pack training rank 1, piloting rank 3, security rank 1, targeting control systems rank 2, engine systems rank 2, payloads rank 1, shield systems rank 2, particle beam weapon systems rank 1, and starship design 1. By level 15, we now have a really good base set of skills which can be leveled as we progress through the game using this pirating heavy playstyle. Again, you will be spoilt for choice, and so some of the tertiary flavor skills will lose out to the more core essentials. At level 16 through to 20, I'd highly recommend padding out those tech skills some more, including particle beam and ballistic weapon systems, targeting control systems, and shield systems, along with starship design 2. At 21, I'd make sure we have piloting rank 4 so we can now use Class C ships, which will make it so we can start proper work on our flagship. This is probably the best time strategically to grant commerce rank 1 and then scavenging rank 1. So we can begin working on those skills, followed by ballistics rank 3. We had to get started on the social skills sometime, and now we have a really good base of tech skills under us. I think this is the best timing. Also, now with rank 3 of ballistics, we have the 30% damage boost and are probably still using a versatile suite of ballistic weapons, so we can let the combat skills rest for now, as the others are just cherries on top for this build. So between level 25 and 30, I'd recommend rounding out more of the tech skills, but the order doesn't matter too much. But as a base prescription, I would say the most vital of the tech skills are piloting rank 4, which we have by now, and starship design, as these will help optimize our ship. A good level 30 benchmark for the pirate build probably looks something like this: commerce rank 1, scavenging rank 1, ballistics rank 3, ballistic weapon systems rank 3, boost pack training 1, piloting rank 4, security rank 1, targeting control systems rank 4, engine systems rank 3, payloads rank 1, shield systems rank 4, particle beam weapon systems rank 2, and starship design rank 3. As we cross over into the later game phases of between level 30 and 50, I'd highly suggest pumping the rest of those tech skills, ideally making it so that we have starship design rank 4 as soon as possible, so now that the pirate's final ship build is achievable. Probably also pick up rank 3 of security so we can now get into master locks. At around the level 35 mark, we probably can warrant the final rank of ballistics, then ranks 2 of commerce and scavenging, and then rank rank 1 of Intimidation, finishing off what we need from the social tree. We can then begin seeking the combat boosts from Rifle Certification and the boost pack extras so we can more easily handle the stronger enemies of the late game. These skills will help us scale our damage output against them. From there, the order doesn't matter as much, and it will come down to personal preference or timing in regards to challenge completion. So for this level 50 benchmark, well, technically level 51 because I wanted to squeeze in a cheeky extra, for this level 51 benchmark, your pirate's build skill set should look something like this. Commerce rank 2, Scavenging rank 2, Intimidation rank 1, Ballistics rank 4, Rifle Certification rank 4, Rapid Reloading rank 1, Ballistic Weapon Systems rank 4, Boost Pack Training rank 4, Piloting rank 4, Security rank 3, Targeting Control Systems rank 4, Engine Systems rank 4, Payloads rank 4, Shield Systems rank 4, Particle Beam Weapon Systems rank 4, and Starship Design rank 4. But with all that statistical heaviness said and done, let's get into the backstory, followed by role-playing for this character. The pirate was not always so. Anne Bonny was born in Freestar space some 23 years ago. Her first breaths were in the musty cargo hold of a freighter that mainly worked the routes between the systems Cheyenne and Volai. Her mother was part of the crew, a technician. Her father was unknown to her, some UC Navy type that split and disappeared as the colony war began. He likely died in the fighting. Anne went where her mother went, freighting cargo from place to place, luckily avoiding any real combat, but there were some close encounters with UC skirmishers. The war was over before her first real memories, yet wounds were fresh, and every sentence she heard with the words United Colonies in it was followed by some profanity that she was not supposed to hear. There were no other children on board, and each stop was a transient affair, a day if that, and so most of her life was spent confined to the bounds of a ship. She had slates to provide minimal education, but the real learning came secondhand from watching and talking to the crew. She was a fun novelty to have around for some, a nuisance for others, but by the time she was 13, she had an extensive education on board a ship. She didn't like to read, fell behind in her schooling, but she was a top-tier techie. She had spent more of her life in space than not, and it showed. Soon, everything changed. They had fallen on hard times, piracy was rampant, Spaces and Crimson Fleet had often been avoided only narrowly, and only because they jettisoned the cargo. Soon enough, too much money was lost, and the credits no longer flowed, and so the crew quit, the ship was sold, and Anne and her mother were stuck in Neon with enough creds only for months. Anne took underhanded money for odd jobs at Xenofresh while her mother worked at Afterlife. The comforting hum of a ship had been replaced with the pelting of rains and the non-stop noise of chattering and routine violence passing by the crate in which they lived. She cried a lot then, was bullied by the street rats in the day, and then copped the anger and frustration of her mother after her late nights. She hated this place, hated the stench of fish, the taste of it, day in, day out. This place was filth. Months went by, and in each her mother started showing the signs. Aurora had its grips in her, had its grips on half the people in the city. While staring at an empty fridge, Anne would be told, "This is the last time," over and over, until one day it really was the last time. Junkies will do just about anything for a fix, and crossing the Ebbside Strikers was one such stupid, deathly thing. Her mother was found dead in an alley with 3 gunshots in her body. Anne stood at the edge of the city and looked down at the roiling ocean below and then back to the sky with no way to reach it. But then, as she lowered her gaze once more, ready to leap into the waters and end it all, she glimpsed the spaceport, and then she thought to herself, why not? She found the lousiest guard she could find, the sleazy type that would be swayed by the pleas of a young girl with a low neckline. She feigned the whole lost my parents deal, though technically this was true, and Anne managed to finagle her way onto a ship, sneaking in as a stowaway, and through the miraculous mystery of universal coincidence, she found herself stowed on a bounty hunter's ship. When she was found out, she managed to convince the owner of this ship, a Mr. Billy Bones, not to send her out the airlock. She lucked out big time. This captain was a solo flyer, never wanted to pay for an in-house technician, but from the state of the thing, he needed it. Anne worked for food and board, was even lucky enough after trust was gained to fly the ship while he slept. She made a good first mate and they became quick friends, the father she never had, a father that was obsessed with a treasure. As a bounty hunter, Billy had spent much of his life soaking up credits for taking out anyone if the price was right, but most of his work was on the edges of Freestar space, hunting pirates, and in the course of his experience with them, he was exposed to the myths and legends of these corsairs. Those which involved a secret treasure, Crix's legacy. And over time he became curious, and that curiosity morphed to obsession. Anne learnt all she could from Billy, all the tricks of the trade, became his apprentice in all but name, and soon she even began running jobs with him, demanding her share of the cut. And as the years went by, she even managed to strike out on her own and buy herself a ship. They parted ways soon after, and the two sent communications often enough, but after some time, they stopped. Maybe he really did find the treasure and vanish with the hoard, or maybe he just died trying. Either way, Anne established herself as a bounty hunter by the age of 19, and she had about a year and a half of success before she clipped the wrong bounty, pissed off the wrong people, and dragged her name through the mud. She had to ditch her ship and lay low, picking up a job with Argos extractors, and this is where you will pick up her adventure. Role-playing this pirate build revolves around, funnily enough, the core tenet of piracy. To begin with, you'll be thrust from Argos extractors and into the world, and at the first instance of you committing a crime and getting caught in UC territory, you will be taken in with special request to the UC Vigilance. Commander Ikande has been watching you, he has your records, knows your past. He is providing you an alternative. There are two options here. You can either tell him to get stuffed and cop the jail time, and the Crimson Fleet will later contact you, or what I actually like to do for this character is begrudgingly accept the double agent mission and then turncoat, as is very common for pirates to do in the past, saying yes to authorities for a benefit when it suits them, and then back to their old ways the second it's convenient. There is also some cool bounty hunter dialogue opportunities in here, and also consider that her past is rough but not that of a pirate. I felt a more gradual change for the character from pretending to be a pirate to real pirate is the way to go. Remember, it is possible to piss off Commander Ikande by doing things your way and having no regard for casualties. I had a particularly epic moment because of this. Anne has been beaten down on for most of her recent life and has struggled because of opportunistic others, but instead of coming out with some justice-oriented defend the meek mindset, she instead comes to the sort of conclusion like, if you can't beat them, join them. She begins to embrace the only the strong survive mentality and internalizes the philosophy that might equals right and that morality is just a tool others use to control. She has spent too long in shitty situations making shitty credits, and if she's learnt anything, it's that life can be incredibly short. So from pirate hunter to pirate captain, this is the arc you will be experiencing. The Crimson Fleet questline really is the primary one of concern because we want the rest of the gameplay to be firmly focused on the piracy missions, smuggling, boarding, and raiding. We have a pirate guide dedicated to the niche intricacies of the playstyle, but in essence, we are a scourge of the starry seas. With our grav drive, in a blink we appear, destroy all ships in this terrifying frigate, board the target, kill the crew, and vanish like a ghost in the night. And your piracy isn't all on the rails of a mission either. You can approach other targets of your choosing or hit civilian outposts and ransack their holds. Do be aware though of your bounty. Ideally, leave no witnesses, but there is a self-clearance board on the key itself. You want to develop a good reward to bounty ratio because sometimes you need to do things in cities without starting a gunfight because of an attempted arrest. But at the same time, you really can, post Crimson Fleet storyline, just go on a universal rampage and build secret outposts on remote planets, perhaps even making your own treasure planet hidden far away. It is feasible in the later games, so you just raid your way across the settled systems with no regard for the law or your bounty, but bear in mind this does make other questing difficult. But of course you have plenty of merchants available in the key. Bear in mind you want your ship set up by then because you will need to use the technicians at Hopetown. Another reason I chose an Anne Bonny type character is because through role-playing you can simulate Jack Rackham and Mary Read as companions. At the end of the Crimson Fleet questline, it is possible to recruit Mathis Costello. He is your Jack Rackham, and as soon as you gain access to the key, you can head to the bar and recruit Jessamine. This is your Mary Read. The other companion to fill the third spot can be of your choosing, but I went with Vasco because he doesn't judge me, and I feel like having a heartless robot as a tool fits the bill. Ultimately, she is a pirate through and through and will be convinced that what is valuable in life is her own will, bending or breaking the galaxy to her desire. So now after the backstory and role-playing sections, you should have a pretty good feel for the pirate character that we have made for you, and it will surely help you understand the vibe of the build. If you're familiar with our classic Fallout 4 and Skyrim builds, you'll notice that we often prioritize the rule of cool over pure statistical maxing, same as the skills. We want to give the most on-theme and fun gameplay experience. I think, like the skill section, this gear section is best broken up into early, mid, and late game segments for recommendations. In the early game, you should actually be able to get yourself a suit of pirate armor on the very first tutorial mission in Crete. I'd recommend this most for the vibe match. As for apparel, anything goes until we get into the Crimson Fleet, and then we will get handed the swashbuckling apparel, which I will later put on Jessamine as we change outfits. In terms of weapons, due to getting the ballistic skill, we can actually use a variety of weapons, things like a maelstrom for a reliable rifle, keel hauler to use on tougher enemies, which is the unique magshot pistol you will get on early in the Crimson Fleet questline, and something like the Old Earth shotgun for close quarters encounters on boarding ships. If you didn't manage to loot the pirate spacesuit on Crete, you should know that one of the merchants in the key often sells pirate spacesuits and helmets, and pirate gear also levels. Check his inventory every time it refreshes, but ideally we could get our hands on the Corsair pirate helm and Corsair armor, and this is the aesthetic we run with for the whole game. It's the most menacing set in my opinion. I'm sure by the mid-game you have made some very good progress or even finished the Crimson Fleet, but there are some advantages to taking your time with this because, well, quest rewards are often leveled, and this seems to be the case with the unique Magshear Revenant, which you get in the questline. Personally, this is what I did. I really took my time with the fleet. Regardless, we should be able to get our hands on a Magshear of some kind, and this is our primary signature weapon, but of course the Revenant is the ideal pursuit. Don't worry too much though about waiting to get the Revenant. The pirate build is a very good fit for New Game Plus, in which you can gain the weapon a second time but level appropriate, and despite that it's such a powerful weapon. It's a base version appropriate at even later levels. Keep note that Magshears tear through ammo, so you will want multiple weapons still until you can get to the point that you always have enough through buying. You may have some of this sooner depending on your progress, but at the late game we should be wearing the far more iconic Pirate Captain's outfit as our apparel option, and we should be able to get our hands on ultimately the superior Corsair pirate armor and helmet. It looks the same, so we can maintain the appearance, but its stats are way better. I also want to note that you should dress up your companions, give Jessamine the swashbuckling gear, and I also gave both of them Magshear weapons and better versions of pirate armor. Of course, Revenant is the ideal weapon to be using, and by level 50, the slower reload is negated by rank 4 of rifle certification and rank 1 of the rapid reloading skill, plus through the other combat skills, its damage will be maxed out, and it just tears through people as it tears through ammo, but now you should have enough money to continually buy the ammo and keep it topped up. It's such a terrifying weapon. Advanced Magshears are also good alternatives if you still haven't for some reason got Revenant yet, or Revenant's outclassed because of leveling. But arguably even more important is the pirate ship. Yesterday I made an entire guide linked below giving a full tour of the ship and how to build it. I called her the Stronghold, and she was principally designed as the pirate's fortress, a big galleon ship full of capabilities, both combat and utility. She has lots of shielded cargo space, giant weapon rails full of artillery, and the Gauss cannons emulate the feeling of a classical pirate ship's cannons. It has been designed in a claustrophobic style on the interior, but also tall and with lots of ladders to emulate the feeling of climbing up to the mast, in this case the bridge, with its various rigging. The golden radiators are also supposed to simulate the feeling of solar sails from Treasure Planet, and while they don't look like sails exactly, it makes the silhouette more detailed and intricate. The cargo hall is also the central hub of the ship where all the pirates would come and haul their plunder and divvy it up. It may be a little less mobile due to the fact it's a moving pirate fortress, but it can still achieve quite the speed, and its shields and damage output are immense. The combination of particle beams and Gauss cannons work really well in combat. Particle beams do an even split of damage to the shield and hull, and the cannons do mainly hull damage, so the logic here is that once the shields are down, enemies get absolutely shredded, so they will never have a chance to recover before they are blown to smithereens. Focusing on hull damage allows us to quickly remove the enemies so they can't escape and regen their shields. We also have a set of EM weapons which are essential for the pirate because sometimes we do actually want to board the ship and steal all that it has to offer from the captain's locker. Ultimately, if you want to learn how to replicate this ship or rather take inspiration from it, then do check out the pirate ship guide because that explains how to build it nice and succinctly. Everyone, that is everything you need to know to completely immerse yourself in the pirate, the Scourge of the Starry Seas, the Corsair of the Void who comes from the infinite darkness, attacks, boards, and vanishes with the plunder in a blink of an eye, off to store it on some planet. It's now time for you to dive into her story yourself. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed the second of our many role-playing builds to come. Starfield truly is an incredible game with lots of role-playing character potential, and I can't wait to share what we have come up with. Please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for the more builds to come, along with the other sensational Starfield content we have coming daily. My name is Scott, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again soon.